Hello, everyone, and welcome to the episode 72 of the Office Hours podcast. We are going to continue our conversation today. Not really sure what the topic is going to be, but I'm pretty sure it's something cool and interesting. So, Mo, take it away.
Thank you, Vasili. How are you? I have to ask. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I can't wait for spring to start. It's just been miserable weather, and I'm kind of stuck at home most of the time. Cabin fever and all that. I wish for some sunny days. I mean, it's kind of strange. Like my birthday is in about a month, and I hope that there's gonna be
Ooh.
nice weather by then. Because some years back it would be amazing weather on my birthday, and then a little bit recently it's been like a really crappy weather for my birthday. So I'm hoping that this year is gonna be nice.
Do you have plans for your birthday?
No, not yet. I think uh, the opportune time to have plans for your birthday is when you are in your teens and maybe early 20s, but after you hit like 25, it's not really the same anymore, I think. Because by then you are
Mm.
responsible for buying your own
Yeah.
presents.
Yeah.
So what is there
This
to
is
plan
it.
for?
Yeah. Yeah.
It
Fair
actually
enough.
becomes
Fair
more
enough.
more like it's less anticipation because up until then it hasn't been a chore. Your parents would figure something out
Hmm.
for you. But now that you have to do the planning, inviting friends, figuring out food or catering or takeout or delivery or whatever, and like you have to think about what you want for a present because, you know, a tiny little box of Legos is not going to satisfy you anymore, but everyone's broke, so you're not going to ask your friends to like get you something really crazy. So you're supposed to take the token pack of funky socks and be like, "Yay,
Hmm.
this is really nice."
Yeah. I
Where
mean,
you may
if
be
you even get
thinking,
that.
it's like, oh, I'd like to get a $3,000 drone, but hey, no one's gonna get me one.
Well, you never know.
Yeah.
Someone might be listening right now. Like
Well, I do not
maybe.
want a $3,000 drone. I was just throwing it out there as one of the crazy
Hmm.
expensive, um, not
So what?
vanity gift, but like just I don't know, just a
So what do
silly,
you want?
silly
What do
thing.
you want?
What I
What do you
want for
want?
my birthday?
Hmm.
See, usually, my girlfriend would ask me that question a couple of weeks prior to, and I'd start scratching my head. And now you're doing it like a whole month ahead of time. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ, I have to think about it now. What it is
We
that I
are.
want?
Yeah, what do you
I
want?
mean, I got everything I need right here. So,
Really? I mean, like,
well,
let's say, hypothetically, I mean, I'm just asking
mm,
for for the audience. Like, everyone wants to know what you really want for your
mm,
birthday.
why would they want to know that?
We want to know that and more. So,
Yeah,
what do you
fair
want for your
enough.
birthday?
Honestly, I don't really know. I'm like buying random things here and there. So if it's a small thing that I kind of feel like I need in a moment, it's much easier for me to just
Mm.
go and like order it off Amazon rather than wait for it for a couple of weeks. And out of the
Yeah.
presents that are just something for the occasion, maybe some kind of experience.
Ah,
Because
okay.
I sit at home on my ass like 99% of the time. So something that'll force me to go outside and do stuff,
Okay.
something like that.
Fair
Yeah.
enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, but you just mentioned something that caught my attention. Like, you remember, I think Amazon, was it from Quebec that they said they were leaving or they were leaving Canada? Is it Quebec or?
It's Quebec. Yeah, like the bloc is always have their separatist views and all that, and all the terrorism back in the 80s when they really
Terrorism.
wanted to leave. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, you gotta read up on it. Quebec was like, woohoo, let's blow shit up.
Really? I don't know this history. Interesting. So, like, there was a lot of fighting, like
Well, I mean, I
bombings.
wasn't I wasn't around here, but I know that Quebec separatists like they had some bombings and things like that back in the day. I think. I don't know. Maybe I'm full of crap and everyone's like, what the hell's this guy talking about? But I'm pretty sure it happened, you know?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I was just remembering that, like, yeah, maybe it was the entire. Imagine though, Imagine what life would look like without Amazon. I don't know. I'm so used to it now. Like it's like e-commerce. What will it look like without Amazon? I think recently I saw this like outlet. I think is it TSC or something, and I think this is supposed to be like something to replace Amazon just in case. But I was looking at like but it didn't feel like Amazon a lot, and it was kind of expensive. I don't even know. Maybe it's just like in the
Yeah.
beginning. Or
I heard that Walmart online shopping now has more coverage for same day delivery in the United
oh
States
yeah,
compared to Amazon. Yeah.
hey, but can
So
I do it in Canada?
that's a good question. I haven't checked. I mean, we have a Walmart nearby, and I shop there for like one or two items that they carry that want every once in a while. But in terms of like shopping there constantly, we don't really do that. I mean, they have at some point like Best Buy, they started their own online store, and Walmart, they have a very big online store that has like nothing to do with their in-store, like in brick and
Mm-hmm.
mortar
Mm-hmm.
presence. But I don't really try shopping there. I mean, you got to give it to Amazon. They made a very, very hassle-free experience. So for some of
Yeah,
the things that you want, it's like literally one click away. So they really made the process of spending your money extremely optimized, which is fair enough.
very easy.
Very, very easy. Yeah,
Honestly,
yeah, yeah.
very easy. And I
Yeah.
don't know if I want to say I like this or I don't. It's just that also also another issue that I see with like Walmart and like the other competitions is like, for example, Best Buy is Best Buy products. Like I don't think it's not open market. Amazon is open
No, it
market.
is it
Like
is open market. Well, because I
I
mean
don't
they
know.
have different sellers. They have different sellers on Best Buy as well. So it's
Oh
not
yeah,
fulfilled by Best Buy. Like it's an e-commerce platform. I think they try to compete with Amazon, but I don't know how well they're doing there. But if you go search on their website, yeah, a lot of the problems with the e-commerce sites is people don't really know how to categorize things and make them easy to search. It's like, why is it that every time I go and try to search for something extremely specific, it's like almost impossible to do? They just don't. Well, I mean, I understand why, because for every product, you have to aggregate the correct metadata and fill it out in your system so your system knows how to, offer you all these different options. And the
mm-hmm.
other thing that was pissing me off about the Canadian because Canadian Best Buy online store and American Best Buy online store are different systems. And like on a Canadian Best Buy, you can filter, but the filter is only yes or ignored. And on American side, it can be either yes or no or ignored. Because I was trying to buy a TV that is not smart, and like good luck finding
Yeah,
that on the Canadian Best
yeah.
Buy. It's like there's just no way you can do that because you can only say, oh, I want the smart ones or I want everything.
You
So,
know,
but yeah.
this is actually like, I mean, I would like us to talk more about like e-commerce stuff, but just parenthesis. Um, why is it so difficult to buy like a TV that is not smart? Like I just want my TV to just show pictures. That's all. I don't want it to have anything else. I
Well,
struggled to actually
because
find
yeah,
a
yeah,
non-smart TV
yeah.
recently. Like it,
Well, because
why?
they're monetizing your viewing habits. They're collecting all the data about everything that you watch, and then they sell it to advertisers.
Ah,
That's why these TVs are so cheap right now. Do you remember when TVs cost like 85-inch TV would be like $5,000, and now you go to
yeah.
Costco and it's like 1,200 or something because it's a smart TV that just data mines the crap out of you at any given point. I remember 6 or 7 years ago when I was renting my apartment to this family, and after they moved in, they bought a TV, and I was there and I was kind of helping set them up. And basically, you weren't even able to watch terrestrial broadcasts or use any of the HDMI ports until you like agreed to their terms and conditions and signed in into their account. And I was like, yeah, the TV like that is never going to be in my apartment because this is absolute horseshit.
do you think installing like a VPN or some sort helps with this kind of issues
I mean,
or
they're
like
still going to
is
collect all the data. With VPNs, like especially advertisements of VPNs on internet is such a pet peeve of mine because pretty much all claims that they tell you are bogus, except for the claim that you will get better selection on streaming services because you fake your geolocation effectively. All the other claims they make about like security and like your provider doesn't know where you browse, it's like the provider doesn't, but you do. So who's to sell you're not selling that information to every broker in the universe, right? And like,
yeah,
oh, sites like Facebook monitor you. And it's like, well, they still monitor you because the monitoring thing is embedded on a site you visit. It has nothing to do how you got there. They still gonna know that it's you even though you're connected over the VPN. So, and it's especially pains me when it's like some tech channels that promote like Nord or whatever these companies are, and they give you this laundry list of all the things that it does. It's like, you're in tech, you should freaking know better than that. Like, why are you lying to people, you piece of shit?
fair enough. Fair enough. I
So
mean,
yeah, I mean, I think you can probably do a thing where you get a smart TV and just not connect it to the internet and get like a separate device that just does like uh, you know, the streaming portion on it. So they're like disconnected. That could be a thing to
mm,
do.
that could be a thing, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
It got to a point. It was even like so you start to see like a non-smart TV cost probably just around the same price as a smart TV. So that was just weird to me. Like I was
Yeah,
like,
no, I think they're still more expensive. They're harder to find. I think in US it's easier to find them. There's like some specific models that are not smart. And uh well, I'm waiting to sort of get into a stage of doing a reno on a house, and after that's done, we can consider getting like a new TV. And there are a couple of options. There's basically like there's business TVs that are used for signage. Like you go into a cafe and they have a menu on a TV. So they sell those TVs like business offerings. They usually don't
mm,
have any of the smart shit built in. But they also
okay.
they also lack speakers usually. So you have to get like a separate sound bar for it.
That's complicated now. Now
Right,
you need
right. I
extra
was I
speakers.
was I was kind of in a rabbit hole. I was looking at TVs that they sell for like hotels, because for
Ah,
hotels the TVs they have like this out of band management system where you can actually externally control parameters and like lock down
mhm.
channels and like send information to it. Like they have like their own little niche for hotels specifically. So, there's options out there, but they're definitely more expensive. And then there's the other cool thing is there are TVs that basically have a slot where you can plug in a board, and it could be either like a Raspberry Pi or an Intel NUC of some sort, and you just have like a tiny computer embedded in the TV itself that runs it. So that was a kind of a cool option, but it's all very obscure. There's very, very little information about it. You kind of have to really go on a hunt for these things. So yeah, I think maybe there was a window when smart TVs were just kind of starting to get around. There was a time to buy a non-smart TV and just hold on to it for your dear life. But now
Honestly,
it's really
yeah,
difficult. Yeah.
yeah. And it's weird because like I just want a TV. You know what?
I
So I
just want
had this
something that projects a picture and plays some sound.
literally like yeah. So I had this like I got this non-smart TV like few years ago, maybe like 7 years ago or so. And I had it for all this while, and suddenly something happened. It just stopped, like the backlight didn't come on. So and I've had it for a long time, so I kind of have like some sentimental attachment to the TV. So I was like, I don't want to buy a new TV. I want this TV.
I have a
So then,
perfectly fine TV over here. Why would I want to buy a new TV?
exactly. So and then I remember, yeah, I went to like a technician or something, some guy. I was like, yeah, I just want to fix the backlight. And the guy was telling me that it's gonna cost like what, $85 an hour? $85 an hour to fix a backlight. And it's not just 1 hour. So we're saying like, well, it's gonna cost like maybe 3 hours. And I was like, why are you even charging me per hour? to fix the backlight. So like I was thinking, if I'm paying 3 hours of work, $85, how much is a new TV?
That's how they get you, Mo. Because a friend of mine recently has replaced the backlight on his TV, and it's essentially you have like these LED strips, and then you have
Mhm.
like some sort of diffuser, and you have like a little Fresnel lens. So if you take it apart, and you can probably find videos online, you can get the replacement LED
Could
strips
have
off
done
the
that,
internet.
yeah.
I mean, if that TV doesn't work, you're not gonna make it any worse for yourself. So you could, in theory, try, opening it up and replacing the
Yeah.
backlight and give your TV another 10 years of life. Who
Yeah.
knows? I mean,
I
my
know.
TV, my TV is still like 720p, 20 or like 30-inch or something, and the backlight is really old. It's like an older LED Sony Bravia, so it's pretty dim, but still works.
Yeah.
It's probably like 20 years old by now.
Yeah. I mean, I really miss that TV. Like
Did you
not
check
like
it by now already, or
did I what?
did you throw
Did
it
I?
away?
Yeah, like it was emotional, but yeah, I had to get rid of it. When you're like letting it go, you're like, oh, I'm gonna miss you, kind of like throwing it away. But
Do you
it
remember
is what
that?
it is.
Do you remember that IKEA ad about a lamp?
Yeah, it was the lamp or the chair. It was
No,
it
it
a
was it
lamp
was
or
a
a
lamp. It
couch.
was a lamp.
Okay, okay, yeah,
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 yeah, yeah, that was a
yeah.
good one.
Like
I'll
I'm
try
gonna
to
miss
find
you.
it and link it because that was really well done.
Yeah, I mean, anyway. So yeah, back to like the e-commerce stuff, because Amazon right now, they seem to be like the giants like of e-commerce. But I'm starting to wonder like if you want to actually build like an e-commerce store that also can serve Canada. For example, you know how everything is going on right now between the two countries, and like there is all this like craziness going on. Um, hypothetically, if you want to actually have the same kind of like service for Canadians, what will it take? Like I was given an example of TSC. I don't know if TSC is even.
I haven't even heard about it, so they're not doing a very
Yeah,
good job of competing with Amazon.
exactly, exactly.
Um, so I recently heard it was like some really old interview with Bezos, and he said the reason that they started with books is because there's like nearly infinite variety with books, because every individual book is its own thing, and there's like millions of books, right? In terms of like titles and formats and paperback and hardcover and all that kind of stuff. And he said, like, if our system can handle all the variety that books give, we can basically handle pretty much whatever else. And he was right. And the other big thing that Amazon has is, I mean, they're massively vertically integrated in terms of their logistics. Like, all the Amazon
Mhm.
delivery fleet is part of Amazon. And, if you have to rely, like, shipping is extremely expensive for, for things, like, if you're selling online,
Mhm.
logistics is where you lose a lot of money because, you know, Canada Post is not cheap. It's the cheapest one of them all. Everything else on top of that is even more expensive. So, because they have their own fleet, they're saving so much money on that. It's not even funny, right? And they have amazing logistical capability. They have all the warehouses strategically placed. They probably wrote a shit ton of software to optimize all of these things in terms of, storage and receiving and how they balance out their inventory based on projected demand. I'm pretty sure that it's tied very heavily into like this whole recommended by Amazon because they can like pre-stock it in all the warehouses and give you same day shipping. So of course people will go for that. So there's like so many variables that they're optimizing. Like if you wanted to compete with them, yeah, it's gonna be really hard. I guess maybe companies like Walmart and Best Buy, because they already have physical presence, they have stores and they have warehouses. They probably don't have their own logistics though, so that will be tough. Um, well, I mean, on the other hand, because how big they are, they could have strategic partnerships with like FedEx or UPS or whatever to give them way more favorable rates. Because even right now, with all these companies, if you're a big account, they give you better rates. And like If you're a small business, you get better rates, but like if you're a business the size of Best Buy across the entire Canada and US, you can probably get really good rates too. Maybe not as good as owning your own logistical support system, but still. So yeah, and that's just like one side of the equation, which is the logistics of getting it out to customers. But there's also you know because Amazon has like fulfilled by Amazon, and then there's like fulfilled by the third party themselves,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody wants to qualify for fulfilled by Amazon. But I heard that the terms are like usually in all of those interactions in terms of like B2B and B2C, the winner in all of those interactions is Amazon themselves.
Of course.
Right.
Of course.
And that's why they are so successful at like destroying the retail business. However, you know, and I'm not the only one to have that thought, and I had it for a really long time, but and they are kind of doing it already. Is like by the time you destroy all the retail business, you can dictate your own conditions, and like where else are they gonna go? Like if you're the only game in town, right? So the trajectory is very predictable, unless they become a monopoly where the government actually has to step in and do something about it. So yeah, it's an interesting domain, that's for sure.
I mean, if you look at it from like a technical point of view, like outside of the businesses itself, because like I feel if you really look at it from like the business side of it of things, I feel like it's really like too far. Like they've gone too far to be able to compete with. It's like trying to compete with Google now in search engine. I mean, you could
I
try,
mean, Google
but
search is not even that good anymore.
yeah, but it's still
Like
Google.
it has been for like last 5 years. Their search results are crap. So
It's still Google.
it's still Google. No, I get that, but they turned from a search company into advertisement company, and Facebook
Yeah.
did the same. Amazon, I don't know if they have their own advertisement company, but they have enough real estate on the internet to just advertise their own shit through it and not having to like attract
Mhm.
any external advertisement providers from the side, which is again, the degree to which they are vertically integrated is amazing. It's like everything's in house.
Yeah. So if you want to actually like look at it from like a technical point, like how do you even start? Like what are like the the connecting pipes? Like
Right.
what do you what are the entities to even first like
Well, the,
look
the
into
the
like
the interesting thing, I don't know if it's true in 2025, but some years ago, four-ish, I heard that basically like Amazon online shopping is like a cost center, and Amazon as a company is recouping most of their money through Amazon Web Services. Like the Amazon Web Services is the thing that brings them all the money that they can spend to prop up like the retail. So they have to
really?
pump a bunch of money into it. So if you, I guess the answer to your question would be if you want to start a competitive retail business, you have to have some side business that generates you a lot of money to spend on that thing.
So what could that be? Because of course you can. I mean,
Well, I
what
mean,
kind
if
of
I if I
business
had
could it be?
a business that was generating me all of this money, like would I even attempt of starting a retail business on a side? That's a good question.
For Canada, maybe you would. No,
So, I
you're
mean,
not that patriotic.
we're kind of working on a little project that is like a very, very tiny model of that thing.
Mhm.
Uh, and uh, I guess once we are operational, I'm gonna have a better idea. Right now, it's all very theoretical, but talking to people in um, like logistics and inventory management, it seeing how they respond to the kind of questions I ask them. They say like, "Oh, you know a lot about this stuff," and I'm like, "Oh, apparently I do." I've been researching it quite a while and quite a bit. So it's just like
You
they can
know,
afford to do it with the economies of scale, and they can throw a lot of resources into streamlining and optimizing it as much as possible.
Yeah. You know, like I also have some experience with like e-commerce. Like I do sell some stuff, but one of the challenges that I'm looking at, like hypothetically now, if someone asks for my um consultation, how do you say that? Like yeah, my
Yeah, sure,
advice or
sure.
whatever. Like I was thinking, like if getting into e-commerce now, one of the biggest challenges that it's true you can actually make be successful at it. Like you can do a lot of good things, maybe you reach out to a lot of people, but one of the challenge in the beginning is that there is this new trend amongst like a lot of buyers that you buy something, but then you say you didn't receive it, and but it was sent out to you. Of course, like maybe like logistically something can happen, maybe the driver, whatever. But this particular problem, how can we actually fix it
Well,
with tech?
you have to pay extra to request signature on delivery, you know?
Yeah, but but
Like that's realistically, I mean, so I guess unrelated question, and feel free not to answer it if you don't want to, but it's like, how much do you pay for Shopify every month?
I don't even use Shopify first
Okay,
of all,
but like
but
the reason that I'm asking this is that, you know, now like Shopify makes it really easy to sell things online, but they also charge you a lot of money for everything you
yeah,
do
it's
there.
expensive.
It's
Yeah,
very
I know this.
expensive. So
I used to use it, so I know it's
like
expensive.
it is basically like the profit margins in retail are extremely slim, and out of those margins these companies are basically wedge themselves in there and like rob you of like half of those. They do provide a service. It's not like they don't really do anything. They do provide a good service, but they charge a lot of money, and especially if you're starting out, you incur a lot of upfront costs with all these systems. Like you're already out of pocket for all of your inventory, right? That you are going to sell. Now you have to
Yeah,
pay these guys, and you pay them recurring fees. On top of
yeah,
that, if you integrate with their system, they are also your merchant, meaning they are the ones processing your credit card transactions. And the fee,
hmm,
the merchant fees that they charge, you can probably get better fees elsewhere, but it's not going to be as integrated with their system, right?
hmm,
And they have all of these things where, you know, oh, it can automatically, you know, generate labels for Canada Post or for FedEx or whatever. Like they charge you for all of those things, and sure, like they save you a lot of time. And maybe if you're like an established operation, you can switch to that and just streamline a whole bunch of stuff. But if you're just starting up, the amount of like upfront investment that requires, like, yeah, you can listen to some podcast and enter promo code Vasili's Office Hours podcast to get 25. No, I'm just kidding, obviously not. But you know, you get 1 month for free with Shopify, and you set everything
hmm.
up, and then they slam you with like hundreds of dollars every month for,
I
and you
get,
could not even be selling anything yet, and you're already out of pocket for like the inventory and everything else.
yeah,
So
you
it's
know,
very enticing proposition,
mhm.
but it kind of, to me, the other experience comes back into my mind is when some years ago we were doing like a startup with our friends, and for whatever reason we decided to get a co-working space that cost us like $800 every month. That was the dumbest
Oof.
decision ever because we did not need it at all, and it was eating reliably $800 a month like clockwork. Did it bring us any value? It brought us some value. We could kind of get together in the space with internet and
Mhm.
the coffee machine and all that. Was it worth
At
eight
least you
hundred
got good
bucks a
coffee.
month? Were you supposed to be saving every red cent you have and not spending any money at all as much as possible if you're bootstrapped? Hell no. So it's the same kind of thing. You like, this extension makes sense and that extension makes sense. Ooh, this would be kind of cool. And then it's like, boom, $450 a month or
Mhm.
some shit. Like, I don't know exactly the Shopify prices, but I talked to
I
some
can tell
people
you,
and
I
they get
know.
pretty outrageous.
Yeah, it's really, see, when you start Shopify, you first of all, you have your monthly subscription. And depending on your business model, like maybe you're still gonna pay for the inventory, And also, like maybe at some point you pay for SEO. At some point, somebody will tell you like, yeah, currency conversion. If you're selling out of Canada, like you will pay for this extension as well. Like at some point, even if you're like really starting up, you could conveniently get to the point where you're paying about $300 every month, and
with zero sales.
You probably haven't even had one sale yet.
Yeah.
So like, so yeah, I know, but now I'm trying to like find like a solution to a specific problem. For me, there is a specific problem, and you're right. Maybe if you pay extra for sign on delivery, but I don't know if because I've had like scenarios where like someone will say like, oh yeah, like yeah, it was delivered, but it wasn't in a good condition. So now I want a refund. Or like, it was the driver, no, we didn't receive it, but you can see it on the tracking stuff, like the details, like it was actually delivered. So now I'm trying to figure out like how if you want to solve a problem like this, to make sure like, okay, of course, things can happen. Like maybe on the delivery process, something happened. But to just have more transparency when your goods leave your shop, like actually come out of your place to where you're supposed to go. This type of problem, like to be able to track it properly to make sure everything is transparent on
Right.
this side. How do we
I
even
think
think
that
about
you
this?
kind of have to bake a lot of these losses into your pricing structure. Because basically what's going to happen is, like, they say they did not receive it and they demand a refund, even though they probably receive it and it's like a fraudulent thing. They have it and they just don't want to pay for it. Usually what happens is they will open a case with their credit card company,
Mhm.
and it's really
Yeah,
expensive for you if they do that. And
yeah,
also, if you have a lot of chargebacks through your merchant's not going to be happy with you either. So
this is
usually
true.
you lose so much through that it's easier for you to just refund them and forget about it and maybe mark them off and like never sell anything to them ever again.
Yeah.
Because like recently, well, I don't know if it was recent, but some time ago, this guy was basically saying how he's a Twitch streamer, and he was saying like, oh, if a person donates me a small amount and then issues a refund, the merchant charges me like $10 flat fee for every refund. So they can donate me $1 and then like ding me for like $12 because it's going to be $10 for the refund, the dollar that they took out, and some percentages that the merchant charges on top of the $10 flat fee. So he can donate me $100 in individual transactions, recall them all, and now I'm on hook for $1,000 of chargeback
Oh
fees.
shit.
It's like fuck it, just refund the guy and be happy he doesn't try to go that route. Like a lot of that stuff is very exploitable. So if they know your merchant arrangements, they can really put a hurt in you by buying like tiny trivial things and like disputing and like charging it back or whatever, all of those things.
But how do we solve this problem?
I don't think that you
Just
can reliably solve it on your level, because normally if you have a dispute with the merchant, like Visa and MasterCard, they'll always be on the side of the purchaser.
I
So
don't
they're, they're,
know.
they're not going
Are
to
they?
be on the side of the business. They're always going to refund money to the client because for them it's a natural thing to do. And if you enter these disputes, usually you have to provide proof that it was delivered. And if it was delivered in bad condition, like you have to get your customer to provide you photographic evidence that it was delivered in bad condition. Now that's why like a lot of people who buy on places like eBay, to avoid scams, they basically like film themselves picking up the box and opening it in a single take so that they can see what's inside, that it actually matches what the seller, because on eBay people sell like fraudulently as well. Not only like the buyers do fraud, but sellers do fraud as well. They like package a brick into a box and ship it to you, You like, oh, I'm buying a Nintendo Switch, but you're getting a brick. So people like literally filmed the entire process of like opening the door. There's a box with the tracking number on it, and then I open it up, and oh, look, there's a brick. Here goes my dispute claim. Because if you don't do all of those things, eBay will say, well, how do we know you didn't put that brick in there yourself and kept a Nintendo Switch, right? Because they don't know either. So in terms of fraudulent transactions, it's really hard, and people who do fraud will always be on a lookout for new ways and schemes of doing that fraud. So essentially, you're playing a very asymmetrical game, and what a lot of retail ends up doing is they say, we project that, I don't know, 7% of all our sales are going to be fraudulent, bringing us to a monthly amount of X. Therefore, we take that amount of X and we just crank up the sales price to spread that amount across everything. So we get recouped inadvertently when that happens. And then we just refund people and forget it because there's not really much we can do in this case.
Yeah, I mean, you could do that, but
You kind of have to.
over time, from my point of view, I think you would incur a lot of money in refunds, and you probably will struggle to even make profit. You know
Well,
why?
that's
I,
that's why you offset it onto everybody else. Like every other customer you have that does not engage in fraud, they're essentially subsidizing the ones that do fraud because the business themselves, they can't really be expected to cover all of that out of pocket because, as you said, it just eats into your profit margins and it destroys you as a business. So if you want to remain operational, you have to do that. You don't really have any other options in terms of like actual fraudulent stuff. Like, sure,
Mhm,
you can spend more money in the like requesting the signature type stuff.
mhm.
And for my girlfriend's store, Stripe, when before they switched to Shopify, Stripe was doing a lot in terms of like blocking fraudulent transactions on like stolen credit cards and things like that. And you kind of learn to figure out like suspicious transactions where, somebody buys something expensive and it fails with one card, then they try it with another card, it fails again, and then they buy it third time with yet another card, and then the transaction goes through. Usually it's like, that's a pretty sus deal, so we better look into it because somebody may be trying to pull a fast one. But yeah,
Yeah.
as a business, you cannot cover for all of that because it will destroy you if you do. So you have to pass it on to everybody else.
I would really like us to um try at least to think of something. I don't know what it would be, but maybe in this conversation or another time. But I want to give you an example, right, of what I think about like the whole it's not even fraudulent sale, but whatever. Let's call it that for now. Someone one time tried to buy, let's say, like an item of like $200, $200 worth of item,
Like a
and
single
let's say
item.
like, yeah, one item, $200, and then the following day they're like, oh, you already processed this item, it has been shipped, and just like the following day they were like, oh no, I no longer want this item anymore because I got a better deal somewhere else. But it has shipped, you know? And now what are you gonna do? You can't call it back from like being delivered. It's already on its way to be delivered. And then the person is like, oh yeah, if you cannot cancel it, I'm gonna call my credit card service. Long story short, depending on like where you sell, on how you sell your business model, you probably can get some like, cover for stuff like this. But in a case where you don't, this is just one time. This is one case. $200. Another one could be like what? $30, $40, another $200. Let's say you have 100 transactions in a month. And then even let's say you're really good to be able to have like 100 transactions in a month. This means like you are actually on a good scale. But if you're just starting out, let's put it like 10, 20 transactions in a month. So at what point do you start to make profit? Because this is not a small thing to think about. Like you get to a point where like you are going out of pocket now. Like it's no longer a business to you. Like
Yeah.
right now, it's out of pocket. But at this point, for this maybe it's really nothing we can solve. So this is a people problem. Like it's not. It's a human being problem. But the one that I'm thinking about, like to be able to like handle with tech, will probably be like when you actually maybe we could have something to actually like track, like a physical tracker that can, I mean, this is just thinking outside. I don't even know if it's a good idea or not. Like maybe you can have like disposable tracker, like just like ensures that it's not. I guess you can also deliver the tracker and not deliver the item. But in a way, I'm just trying to see how we
Yeah.
can make the
No, that
process.
that that was the kind of thing that I was thinking, is that, like the AirTag is very popular product, and the reason that it works is that they have essentially like a global network of devices who's constantly scanning for any passing AirTag and like reports that information. It's all uh, privacy protected and encrypted and all that kind of stuff. So in theory, you can, if you have that capability of just tracking your items, and you can have a disposable tracker that like lives for, I don't know, a couple of weeks, for however long it takes to deliver your product, and then it's just e-waste, which is not ideal either, but what are you going to do? Effectively, you want to establish a chain of custody from when the product leaves your door, that it wasn't tampered
Mhm.
with, and then by the time they receive it, that it wasn't tampered with either. And I think that right now, I don't necessarily think that we can solve it with technology, because, as you said, it's a human problem. Like,
Mhm.
one of the things that occurred to me, and again, I'm probably not the first, but it's like, you can solve technology problems with technology, but you cannot solve most of people problems with technology, only to
It's
some
true.
extent, right?
Only to some extent.
So, we can solve that problem by living in a higher trust society, but what would it take to achieve that? Uh, Many different things that I'd rather not go into today.
Imagine, imagine if like credit card companies don't do refund, don't handle like refunds. Like once you make a purchase, maybe we could do. Credit card companies can like have a. I mean, credit card will also want to protect themselves. I'm just really thinking about it. Like came to my mind to actually discuss this with you. I was hoping like maybe we can like figure it out in a way
Right.
because let's say credit card companies don't give buyers like the
Well,
and
that
I'm
that
a
that
buyer
that just
too.
that just
Because
creates incentives for unscrupulous buyers to screw their customers, because now they're protected by the credit card companies. The thing is that any variable you change in this equation is just gonna readjust the incentives so that somebody else is gonna start benefiting more, and therefore would start exploiting that system. Like, you cannot permanently fix it, because it's basically like you have your, like, the safety, the convenience, and whatever the third parameter I was just thinking of. Um, you know, but you can only have you have to place that dial somewhere in the middle. Like, you cannot have like all three. So either you're gonna have a fraud on the seller side, or you're gonna have fraud on the buyer side, or it's gonna be too expensive, or it's gonna be too inconvenient, and all of those things. Like, in the beginning we talked about how Amazon made it so smooth. You like press one
Mhm,
button, and maybe even today
mhm.
the product ends up on your porch. As soon as you like a theoretical solution to that problem would essentially be escrow. A third party that holds on to both the money and the product, and when both sides are satisfied, they are released to the parties.
This could be an idea.
It's not like
This is
that.
not a
That's been since the ancient Sumerians probably. But the whole point is like, now you have to have a trusted third party, And now you have to actually go to some dude that will provide the service for you and probably charge a little fee on top. So you made it less convenient and more expensive. Okay, now seller and buyer both have guarantees, but are they willing to sacrifice uh, the margins and the convenience to do that? Maybe for some, like if I'm buying, I don't know, some famous painting for $50 million, that's a really good model because I'd rather suffer having to deal with the third party to get that
Yeah,
transaction
yeah.
going, but then I can be sure that I get what I pay for, and my seller gets paid for. Everyone's happy. But if it's a $20 item on the internet, nobody's gonna bother with that. It's just not worth it. You know, it's like how many times you would buy, like on places like Alibaba or whatever. You start a refund process, and as a good citizen, you're like, how do I return it to you? Like, don't bother, just keep it. Like, we don't care. Here's your money back. Whatever. Like, we don't even want the product back. Like, we just want to make sure that you're
It's
not gonna,
expensive. It's expensive to
because it's
even.
called breakage, and breakage is built into the sale price, so that everybody who's not a fraudster is effectively subsidizing fraudsters, and to a smaller or to a similar degree, they like subsidize literal breakage. Like my girlfriend sells perfume. If a bottle is dropped on the floor and it breaks, somebody has to pay for it. That has to be accounted. That has to be factored in your pricing model at a business plan stage. So
Mm.
I don't know,
So
Mo.
yeah,
I don't think
so
there's
this
a
could be
really
the
easy answer for that.
okay. Okay, so like what you're suggesting now is that it could be it could be like it's a plan business model thing. Like this is part of the risk, so you just take care of it, not with tech, but with like but do you if you do this, depending on how big or how wide like your market is, I'm wondering now, like, does it make you come at a disadvantage for you in terms of like competing with prices?
Of course.
For example, if you sell if you sell in a single unit, in a single store unit, let's say you sell online, like you have your own shop and you have your own particular website, people who come to your website know you. So they come to you. You already have a pool. But if you are selling in like in a marketplace, for example, Amazon or like whatever, I don't know. Some people sell on Alibaba even nowadays. I don't know, like whatever, wherever you sell,
eBay.
right? eBay and stuff like this. And um, does that not affect like competition? Because there is this guy who is selling at the same item, $25, and you you are putting all the risk and like whatever cost into your item, and then you're selling it at what, $35, because somebody can decide to return the item, can ask for a refund when they don't deserve a refund.
Well,
Now you sell less because you cannot compete.
so for marketplaces like this, there's usually some sort of the reputation system, right? Like when you're buying from Amazon's reputation guarantees that you're gonna get what you're paying for. So like if you're buying from some vendor that is not Amazon themselves, if they screw you, Amazon will likely recoup you as a buyer, because again, they are the market maker in this case. So their reputation is on the line. Well, if you go to a site on like eBay, every seller has a reputation, and if you see, and buyers too, so it's a two-way street. Like I know for a fact that, like, in US there's Uber, and in Russia there's like Yandex Taxi, and both drivers and passengers, they both have ratings on respective end. And if you lose your passenger rating, because I don't know, you were drunk and you barfed all over the car or something like that, and you get like dinged with shitty rating, the drivers will simply ignore your ride requests. And even then, it gets gamed. Like all of those systems, the whole thing about it is like, regardless of what kind of system you come up with, there's gonna be some bizarre edge cases that are gonna get gamed, and you just have to anticipate that and build it into your pricing structure. I think, like, I was thinking about the other solution where potentially you could ask for a deposit, and then you pack some sort of unique QR code with your product, and if they received it and then they scanned it, it releases that deposit back to them, and then you have a proof that they received the item and they cannot claim that that was missing. But that's a good one. It would work. However, what is the percentage of people that will look at it? And even though they're not fraudsters and they're legitimate, they're going to be, what if this guy actually takes my money and he screws me now? It puts barriers into your into the process between the money changes hands, and it'll just filter out a whole bunch of people. So you may lose a whole bunch of sales. So you have to make sure that it's worth it for you to operate in that model. And you have to build custom infrastructure to support that, because I don't know if current e-commerce platforms have functionality like that out of the box. So yeah, it's
a Shopify plugin for that.
It's tricky. You can build a plugin for that and sell that. Maybe you'll make more money out of everybody else who's frustrated with these fake chargebacks. Maybe that can be the thing to sell instead of the things that you're actually selling.
You sell the shovel for the gold diggers. You know?
So, exactly. That's exactly right. It's like Amazon is selling things, but it's also selling effectively access to their platform through their commissions. And I think in the end, it is likely that they're going to be like, if they achieve global dominance in this space, they're likely going to be making more money off of third-party sellers rather than selling their own goods. Although, I don't know, that's a very complex thing. But
they sell their own goods too, no?
I think being a platform makes you more money than being like an individual member of the platform, you know?
Yeah, but for you to be a platform, it's expensive to be a platform. I can't even think about it.
That's why AWS is subsidizing their retail arm, and who knows?
It's too expensive to be a platform. But you're right. Like, I remember, I think maybe that was my first job out of uni. Like, there was this company called I don't know, maybe I shouldn't even mention the name now, but yeah.
How many years has it been?
Long time.
The statute of limitations has since passed.
You know what? I will not mention it, but the company was building an e-commerce website, and I was learning about what it takes actually during this time. I think this is when my interest actually started growing, and we were building it, and yeah, it takes a lot. I don't even know if there's even in service right now, because it's
a tough market.
It's very expensive. Like, it's expensive. There is even one popular one in Nigeria, Konga or something like this. I heard. So this one, I don't know. Like, I remember when they started, it was a very good thing. Like, they were really like, but now, like, yeah, I don't know how they're doing, but yeah, it's not being a platform. It's like creating a company. Like, you are responsible for all the employees' well-being. So this is a lot of responsibility for you. But if you're just like a seller, you can decide to close your store tomorrow and start again, at some point. But it's a lot of investment. And maybe we can have a Canadian one day. Who knows?
Maybe. Well, I mean, Amazon's in Canada, so we have a Canadian one in a sense. It's just Amazon. The whole thing with platforms. I don't know. Did you see the movie? Crap, slips my mind the name. It's like about the housing crisis in U.S. What the hell is it called? With like Christian Bale and everything. When a guy was saying it's like yes, I take the sundae, I take the banana, I take the ice cream, and I even take the cherry on top, but you're not even gonna care because of how much money you're gonna be making on this.
Okay. I think Wolf of Wall Street. Is
No,
it
no, no, no,
wait?
no, not the Wolf of Wall Street.
Which one? I forgot. I don't know.
Oh my
But
god,
I think I
I'm
heard that
blanking
story.
out
I've
right now.
heard it.
Yeah, it's like Steve Carell and Christian Bale and a bunch of other actors. But anyway, it's like the whole point is it's like yeah, all of those middlemen like Shopify and Amazon and like all the others, they charge you kind of arm and a leg, but if there's still margins to be had, the next question you should be asking is like how do I increase the volume and how do I increase the prices of the things I sell? Because as this other guy on the internet says, basically the selling ability is same pretty much regardless of what you sell. So instead of selling one thing for $10, you can sell one thing for $10,000, and it's a much better deal for you as a salesman.
Yeah. 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 You make your money at once. Like instead of having to talk to like, yeah, yeah. I think also another thing, it would be like maybe another time. Another thing that I would like to think about, like to solve, would be um customer service. Like the automated customer service. But the thing is, there are some tools that can help you with like automate your customer service, like those for sure. But I think they could also get you in trouble because
Yeah.
what-
If you're
one
thinking of
time
using AI to automate customer service, I don't know.
it could
Everyone
get you in
hates it.
trouble.
Everyone hates it though.
Yeah, because people know that it's not real human. So
So
like,
why, like, isn't it very hypocritical to subject your customers to that if you hate it yourself? The thing is like customer service is expensive. And recently, what was that thing recently where people were put on a 15-minute artificial hold on their phone support lines? It was HP or something like that. Like even when they had people available to take the calls, they would put them in a 15-minute queue, telling them to go to the website because it's cheaper for them to have people go to the website. And it just pissed everybody off, including the people manning the phones, because it's like, well, shit, now we like not getting paid for servicing the customers, so what the hell? And I mean, I was doing technical support at the startup that I was working years ago. It's a tough job. That's why you mostly, like, if you're selling stuff, you mostly want to be selling to the enterprise. Because for the enterprise, they buy $100,000 worth of your stuff and then they call you once or twice. But for individual customers, they buy $10 worth of shit and they'll be in your ear for months just fucking with your brain. Like, oh, this doesn't work, that doesn't work, my wife is leaving me. Like, I'm not your therapist,
yeah,
dude. Like, fuck. It was
yeah,
not a fun
yeah,
time. Because I was also
yeah,
doing
yeah.
development and I was doing technical support, and I'd be like writing code and my phone would ring and somebody would be like, I was like, oh my god.
Oh, you're busy. You're really busy. Like I can.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah,
Oof, that
customer
was a lot.
customer support is really hard and it's expensive, and that's why everybody is trying to outsource it and outsource it. Like first they outsourced it to India and now they're outsourcing it to AI. I don't know what's gonna be next, but
Well,
basically
better
everybody,
AI.
yeah, everybody hates customer support.
Yeah. And the thing is, many people usually the thing with customer support. I mean, I'm a customer too. The thing is, every time I try to like think about it, like I'm thinking about solutions, but I'm also thinking about myself because I'm thinking I'm a customer too. I would want to have good customer service. You understand? Like, I mean, say even when you're chatting like your phone company, and then the first few conversations where like they decide which departments they direct you to, like I don't know if you have the same thing, like, but my phone company, like if you're trying to like reach the customer service, first you talk to some machine, and then after you say exactly why you are
they,
trying
they,
to
they
reach
have
them,
these entire websites that tell you for all the different companies how to get an actual person, like what sequence of numbers you have to press to get to an actual person to like bypass all that stupid bullshit. That should tell
oh
you something, you know?
Well, I mean, this could be like I don't really like this few period, like this few moments. Even Amazon has the same thing, but I don't really like this film. But at the end of the day, I understand it. But maybe they could. The issue that I have is like when people actually talk to you, like they say things, forgetting that, like, bro, like this is it's a business,
Dude,
like.
imagine a job at a call center. That's like one of the most grueling, unrewarding jobs ever
Like,
because you
bro,
deal with
like.
people who are pissed off. They've been on hold for 20 minutes for something
um,
stupid, and now you're asking them questions that somebody just asked them like 20 minutes ago, and they're pissed. And a lot of customers are also idiots. Sorry to say that. They like don't even know how to express what they're trying to get from you, and they get angry and they think that it's your personal fault. That I don't know. Yes, let's call customer support of Superstore and tell them that they charged me 15 cents for a plastic bag, and now I'm just gonna give you the peace of my mind to the poor customer support person on a phone. Like they need that in their
yeah.
life. Like seriously.
Yeah.
I kind of
You
try to
know
be
what?
like better when if I have to call, I like aggregate as much information that I can, and I like deliver that to the person so they can help me get my problem solved instead of like just being a complete obnoxious moron. One time in my life, I had some issues with my internet. I moved, and they were supposed to hook up my internet,
Mhm.
and basically something was broken. And I remember calling the support, and somehow I got past the tier one. You know, the people who just like read from a script and ask you like
Mhm.
all these
Mhm.
obnoxious questions, like click start, click control panel. It's like, bitch, I'm on Linux. Like, I don't even know what you're talking about. But since I have all of those menu structures memorized, I can emulate the process of me actually clicking on them and tell you what they say, even though I'm not even using the same system. And somehow I got escalated to like a tier two or tier three support to a guy who was actually like a networking engineer, and we could speak the same language, and I could tell him what I'm experiencing. It's like, oh, my packets are not like this and that, like TTL is weird, and like, and he's like, oh, okay, it's the DSLAM where the fiber is getting terminated to your building, something's wrong there. We were able to like have a very pleasant conversation for 5 minutes and figure it out exactly, and he dispatched whoever he needed to dispatch. Best customer experience in my life. once
Yeah.
once so
Yeah, that doesn't happen often, but because it's expensive to hire that guy,
yeah, it
like
is. Yeah.
keeping that guy is expensive. Maybe if he has all this knowledge, like why would you wanna do do customer support? But anyway, it is what it is. I don't know if we can. I think it will take more time to solve these problems, but I hope that we get to a point where you actually find a decent solution for it.
Yes.
Or maybe there could be some like form of insurance somewhere to offset stuff like this. But anyway, it is what it is. We leave it till next time, and
Yeah.
hopefully we we could be able to think about it more next time.
Yeah. Well, go build a Amazon competitor in your garage, Mo. Good
I
luck with that.
could. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. You see.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. That was a lot of fun. Good convo.
Mhm.
And if you figure out how to get a non-smart TV, let me know. And yeah, if any of you have managed to procure a non-smart TV in the last 5 years, let me know in the comments, and we'll see you in the next one. Have a good one. Have a good day.
Bye.